Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the CSMI radio broadcast, Today's Christian Music with James Burkhardt.
And good afternoon, and welcome to Today's Christian Music. With me on the phone is the founder of the Christian Songwriters and Musicians International, Mr. Gene Schmidt. Gino, welcome to the show.
Hey, my brother. It's good to be on today.
Yeah, well, this is exciting. You've been busy writing new songs and recording new projects, so we have lots to talk about, and I'm real excited to hear about your latest radio single, There Is Hope, and we'll get to playing that in a little bit. But first, why don't you tell us what you've been up to?
Well, I've been recording a lot this year, and because of COVID and everything, there's been a lot of downtime, and so I've used it to be able to record actually two new albums, and one is called Sacred Assembly, live worship recording that we did in Nashville. We did it with some wonderful musicians, including my wife Ann and Erskine Anabatarte, Ken Stoller on drums, Rebecca Bradley on cello, Holly Van Gilder on violin, and recorded at Studio Nashville. And then I did a resurrection album called 4-1, a whole album about the resurrection and the glorious work of Christ on the cross. And that was recorded. It took about a year to do that album. Recorded with some, as well, wonderful artists, John Heinrichs on saxophone, and several other really good musicians. And I'm in process of recording a new album. It's going to be about a month or two before it's finished, called Rustic Roads. And that's an acoustic album with 5 of Christian music's, I think, most talented guitar players. Phil Kagi, Dave Cleveland, Jason Truby, Dave Beagle, and Rex Schnell. And so that album is really giving people the hope and taking about 35 minutes of their time and sharing about the beauty of God's creation. I sing songs about places I've been and memories I've had. And I think it's a real nostalgic album. And was also able to work with one of the world's finest fiddle players named Stuart Duncan, and mandolin player, just world-class player. And Phil and Kagi did 2 songs, and all the other guitar players played on 2 songs. And I personally like the album a lot. So it's almost done.
Well, we're looking forward to that. Going back to your album that you recorded earlier this year in Nashville with Erskine and several others, this song we're going to be playing in a little bit, There Is Hope. That's your 3rd single that you've released to radio from that record?
Yeah, I've released it a few already. Yeah, it's I would think my 3rd single.
Yeah.
And that's on the For One album, but a wonderful, encouraging song on just looking to Jesus for our hope and our strength. Yes.
Yeah. Well, the other interesting thing about this record project you did in Nashville with Erskine, it was pretty much recorded live in the studio, wasn't it? I mean, everyone was playing at once.
All live, yeah. You know, when you do a live album, that's the first one I've ever done like that. You really pray for just the God's Spirit to come down. You pray for the artists and musicians to just be in complete unity, and well rehearsed is important, but that was all live, and I got to admit, it turned out beautiful. It really did. We have people that have gotten that CD, and they play it during the day as a worship, time of worship in their home or in their church. So I didn't know how it would turn out, but I'm awfully thankful it turned out well.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, weren't you videotaping or not recording it off of iPads and iPhones and stuff like that?
Yep, we filmed
while
the whole
you were
thing.
Recording.
While we were recording, it all got filmed, and that's going to be put on a DVD down the road. In fact, about a week or two ago, I just finished editing all the videos, and that's another just component to it.
Right.
You're really trying to have a setting where you're worshiping the Lord, and these songs all came, almost every one, after a night of prayer with my church. And God just poured out his Spirit and gave these wonderful songs. You Alone Are Worthy, Sacred Assembly. And these have been songs that have been used at sacred assemblies, which is something that we started a few years ago, calling the church to a time of prayer and fasting.
Yeah, and, a lot of people don't know it. I've recorded live with a band in the studio, and, you're well rehearsed, you go in and it works. But to have the additional pressure of it being filmed while you're doing it,
yeah,
that's a bold move.
That's a bold move. Yeah, when I got the tracks back and I looked at the video, it really turned out just exactly what we wanted. It caught the moment. It caught the spirit of the moment. And you watch the video, you enter right into worship. And it was meant to do that. And we're centered and we're focused on the video in what we're doing and what we're singing. And it really is a time of praise and worship that really uplifts people. And we've gotten really good feedback about it, too.
Yeah, well, I know that, my radio station, sntradio.com, has been playing all three of your songs from it now for a while.
Awesome.
It's, these are really well-crafted worship and praise songs, and you can just, it reminded me a bit of the spirit of the music of the old Maranatha albums from the Jesus movement, because I believe you did the same technique that they did. They would go in and just worship. They weren't trying to make a hit record. They would just worship. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you've captured the moment on film to share with everybody is just, I think, indicative of the technologies we have now 40 years later, past the Jesus movement, that is. But it's a wonderful moment in time that you've captured, and it makes a great presentation to send to other churches and ministries if you're looking to get booked, I think. But it's just going to bless the church immensely. It's a real blessing. What I'm excited about is if you can't make a gig, let's say, that S&T Radio is putting on somewhere in the United States in person, we can actually play that video and people will get the same thing. And it's like, Gene, you can multiply yourself and be in many places at once now.
Yeah.
There's a great application there for you, So.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, we didn't know how it would turn out, but, when we were doing it that day, we just we started in a prayer, and right after that prayer, just like heaven came down, and there was such a cohesiveness, and all the artists were just thinking about the Lord, the goodness of God, the depth, the worshiping the Lord out of a heart of worship, and you can just see on their face they were heavenly minded the whole time on things of God. So I really am glad we filmed it and glad we did it. So.
Yeah, well, I saw a film of a portion of a song being recorded and being filmed, and it was I forget where you had it or who did it, but it was like there was something very special going on in that studio at that moment. You could just tell, and I'm really excited to see this thing in its entirety, because when you listen to the music, there's, like I said, this record goes back to some of the old Maranatha worship and praise, albums that I've heard. It's got that same kind of spirit and anointing on it. It's like, the early Maranatha stuff. And I think it's, in a sense, you've come full circle. It's just amazing that you get a bunch of like-minded musicians and pray and go in the studio and just worship, and the engineers are good and they capture it all, and God shows up.
Yep. No, that was wonderful. And prior to even doing the album, when I came to Nashville, I'd go to Erskine's house, and he would kind of ask me, "You got any other songs you've been writing?" And I started playing these worship songs months before we recorded, and right away he entered in. He goes, "Man, I want to sing on those," and so we just all had a real spirit of unity and cohesiveness, and it came together, and it comes off that way. It's not entertaining, it's not like entertainment as in what the world would view, but it's definitely a time of worship that God is in the house. You know that.
Right.
And God is working through the hearts of even the musicians.
Yeah. Well, that's, awesome. And like I said, we'll be getting to There Is Hope, the third single from that project, at the end of the show here, in about 14 minutes or so. Anyway, moving along to your new project with the 5 stellar guitarists, what's it like to work with these guys? Are they just coming in and laying tracks after you've got the basic track done, or how is it working? I mean, the recording process, they could enter in at almost any point, but tell us, go down guitarist by guitarist and kind of give us a blow by blow how it worked.
Well, I wrote these songs over about a year and a half, 2 years' time, and I got a hold of Phil Kagi, and he liked what he heard. He said, I can't play on all the songs, but I'll surely give you 5 friends of mine who can, or 4 other friends of mine who can play along. And he texted me their contact info, and Dave Cleveland's been on thousands of songs, and
right.
He texted me just really wonderful guitar players that I know were a level up from most of the time guitar work that I've done in the past outside of Phil. These guys were in that arena, and they're just wonderful guys. They liked the songs. That was really good. When they got the demos, they learned the songs, and they record. After I put down my parts, they did all their artistic work in their studios, and I think Dave did some in Nashville as well when he was doing session work. Blow by Blow, Phil played on 2 difficult songs called I've Got a Friend and Wonderful God, and he did stellar, just beautiful parts, beautiful entwined parts, and Jason Truby played on Arizona and Brighter Day. I'm going to tell you what, he'll give James Taylor a run for his money. I'll tell you that right now. He's really good, and he's very melodic in his guitar playing. Rex Snell played on the 3rd of June, and God's Got This. And he put together electric guitar work with acoustic guitar work. And I think the 3rd of June song is going to become, I think, one of the better songs on the album that I think people are going to really get touched by. It's the antithesis of John Lennon's Imagine There's No Heaven. This is all about there's a heaven, there's a God. In creation, we know there's a God, and it's a great song. Dave Beagle played on Rustic Roads, and just like when I got the songs back that Dave played on, you can tell why he plays all over the world. Just these Rex Snell, Dave Beagle, Dave Cleveland, Bill, and Jason Truby, they were just all world-class people to work with. And every song, each guitar player played on 2 songs. And I've listened to the tracks, and I think it's some of the better guitar work on any album I've ever done. I think the best guitar work is on this album, by far.
I can believe that with those guys. Absolutely, you know, in the recording business, they have the first call list. All of them in different cities are probably on the first call list, you know, where they're from. Because, you know, Atlanta, LA, New York, whatever, it's, you know, they're on the first call list.
And Dave Cleveland played on back in Tennessee, and you were there, and he added dulcimer, banjo. He can play a lot of instruments. And then Stuart Duncan came in and augmented it with fiddle and mandolin. And Back in Tennessee is a great song in its own right. As far as when you listen to it, it takes you right into the Smoky Mountains. It does. That kind of song. Very pictorial, very, methodical. And I put it on, and everyone that's listened to the demo of it really loves the song. I just think, it's going to become a song that people really feel there was some great musicianship in it. So.
Yeah, so you're going through the final mix down, or where are you in the process?
Well, my wife's adding her vocals in July, and then my producer Gary Forsythe is arranging Wonderful God. He's going to do a whole arrangement around that, and then we'll do mix down in July, and then it'll be ready for duplication and that. The cover and all the artwork and all the booklet stuff's all being done now. So yeah, I'm really excited about this album, and it's a bit of a departure for me from all the worship albums I've done. But these songs, they take you right to I think not only the throne of God, they take you to the beauty of God's heart.
Well, that's awesome. I can see that, especially, as you've described it. What do you see, shifting gears just a minute here.
Sure.
Before we do that, though, let me ask you, if there's someone listening that wants to book you for their church or an event, what's your contact information and your social media so they know how to get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can get a hold of me by email, cwnnashville@gmail.com. CWN stands for Christian Writers Night, and then Nashville@gmail.com. And they can call, too. They can call, but email me. Email me is the best. And then handofhelpoffice@AOL.com. Handofhelpoffice@AOL.com, either way. And I like to get out and share about our work in Romania as well, and also the music. And I've been blessed with being able to work in a ministry that helps orphans and widows over there. So I'm happy about that too. So.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was headed. Was talk a little bit about the ministry that. I mean, you're a very active person with orphans and widows, but also the homeless throughout the Midwest, wherever you travel, and there's a few other things you work on with the political arena and civic things, shutting down strip clubs and turning them into churches. So why don't you take a few minutes, 5 minutes, and talk about your non-musical ministries?
Well, we lived next to a county that had 3 strip clubs in it, and we battled that in my hometown to make sure we would not get one of those in it. And after we won that victory, people got a hold of me and they asked me how we can get these clubs in their county dealt with, shut down, et cetera. Well, we started a night of prayer, and then we started rallies and rallied the people. And the rallies, 3 rallies, brought in over 800 people, including some of Wisconsin's top legal people, top senator. And we all decided we're going to work and fight together to see this scourge dealt with. And in a matter of year and a half of doing this, 2 clubs shut down. FBI raided one, and the other club, I got to meet with the owner and pray with him, and he wanted out. And we even did a Christian concert at one active club in Dodge County. I don't think that's ever been done before, maybe in the whole country. It made national news, but then that owner decided to get out of the business. So we had a big victory with that. And then I do work with the homeless in my hometown. I operate in 2 homeless transitional houses for men. And in our work in Romania, we have an orphanage there, and we work on church building and helping the poor. And I've been over 30 years with Hand to Help doing that. So I'm very active politically, because I can't sit back and just let the ship fall into the ocean, without, defending what I believe are our faith, our values, our freedom. So I started a Christian Leaders Coalition group in our state. And one thing we're trying to do is see July become Christian Heritage Month around the U.S., a celebration of faith, family, and freedom. So that's a project I'm working on right now. That's, I'm active because I believe God wants us to be standing in the gap, standing against, tyrannical and socialistic and even communist attempts to stop our freedom. So we work with some of the state's top leaders to maintain and work on seeing that our faith is represented at the congressional level of our state. And we've had a lot of victories in our state. We've pushed against legal marijuana, and they have not been able to get that passed. We've had rallies with people running for governor. Hopefully this governor will get replaced by a Christian governor. And we've had wins at local levels. We've had wins at mid-state levels with Christian candidates. So that's it in a nutshell, brother. I gave you the 5-minute spiel.
Yeah, well, it's exciting to hear, and we really appreciate all that you do. I have a real heart for orphans and widow and caring for them, and my wife and I are personally involved in a couple of things, but you've done a lot, and putting together the Christian Songwriters and Musicians International has been a great labor of love, and it has been blessed by God and grown. And internationally, how many members are in the CSMI family at this point?
Over 300. Yeah, over 300. And yeah, we We have members all over the U.S. We have them in other countries. We're only about 8-year-old organization, and we have a really wonderful group. We do Praise in the Parks nationwide. We do music conferences to bring artists together. We go to homeless shelters. We go to Nashville Rescue Mission, Chicago, Pacific Garden. We encourage artists to go in their Jerusalem and be a light, take their music, and bring Jesus to the hurting and broken and those that are needing like jails and prisons. And we encourage all 300 of our artists, believe it or not, to do that. And yes, it'd be nice to get a record label. Yeah, it'd be nice to chart songs. It's much more expedient, I feel, to win souls and win the lost and encourage the hurting and the downtrodden. So we love CSMI, love being a part of it. You're a part of it. We got wonderful people involved. So
yeah, well, that's a great word to lead into the song, There Is Hope. So Gene Schmidt, thanks so much for joining us on today's Christian Music, and here's his latest single, There Is Hope.
One who gives us healing, knows what we're feeling. He gives us hope. And there is one who knows our tomorrows, our joy and our sorrows. He gives us hope. And after the storm, there still is a rainbow, sign of his hope. He will be there once more to give us hope. There is one who gives us the sunrise, the beauty of the moonlight. Gives us hope. He's the one who heals all our sorrows, knows our tomorrows, and he gives us hope. And after the storm, there still is a rainbow, the sign of his hope. He will be there once more. One who gives us healing, knows what we're feeling. He gives us hope. And there is one who knows our tomorrows, our joy and our sorrows. He gives us hope. And after the storm, there still is a rainbow, the sign of his hope, that he will be there once more to give us hope.
This has been the radio broadcast, Today's Christian Music with James Burkhardt. For more information about Christian songwriters and musicians international, please go to our website at www.csminetwork.com. or email us at cwnnashville@gmail.com. God bless.